Hello out there in YouTube land. I'm David and I am the host of Retire in the RP. We have a WordPress page. We have a YouTube page. Thank you for taking the time to come by and listen. This is Volume 1, Episode 2. And the title of this blog is You Are Not the Resurrected Clark Gable. The reason I'm doing this vlog, video, whatever you want to call it, is because there are going to be a lot of people with a lot of questions about Philippine women. That is not going to be the focus of my blog. I'm going to take one time or maybe two another time to stop and talk a little bit about it. And then if you have questions or whatever, there's a lot of other bloggers who already handle the subject. And I'm more into different things, which you'll find out as we go along. So thank you for taking the time to stop. Take a listen. If you'd like to subscribe, please do. Look forward to having regular listeners. Our goal is 1,000 subscribers to start and working our way on up. I will be putting in more blogs as we go along. It's been kind of weird here lately with the war in the Ukraine. The Russians invading, the Chinese getting uppity because they're a problem, and different things going on in the world, so it may not ever be totally smooth. But anyway, thank you for taking the time to stop in. So what we're going to talk about is you are not the resurrected Clark Gable. Or you can put in Sean Connery, Paul Newman, whoever you think a handsome actor is, you can put him in there. Because there is a difference between women in the United States and women in the Philippines. And there's going to be a lot of men who are going to decide that they are just tired. Let's just go ahead and get it straight. If you're a man in the United States, you get treated like trash by women. If you even look at them funny, they want to call the cops or say you're a sexual harasser or whatever. Problem is they've got this women's liberation, which they think that they're equal to men. Okay, in some ways they're not, and in some ways women are superior. There's nothing wrong with being a woman, there's nothing wrong with being a man, and there's nothing wrong with being allowed to express it. In the United States, men cannot. If you take you put two malls side by side filled with women, one filled with women from the United States and one filled with women from the Philippines, you're going to enjoy being in the side with the Filipino women a lot more. Not because whatever dirty thoughts you may have in your mind is, don't even go that way, okay? I'm talking about Filipinos are a lot friendlier on the average, and the women are fine with men being men. They're not your doormat, they're not your servant, they're not your slave. They're just happy people, and the women have no problem with being women. They like being mothers, they like being housewives, they like making sure that things are taken care of. I'm married, my wife is Maribel, and let me tell you something, I could not ask for someone better than her. She takes good care of me, she takes good care of everything, she works herself to the bone. I am very blessed to have a good wife. And yeah, I have a wife. And I'm happy with her. But the difference is in the United States, men can't act like men, because if you go into the mall with all the women from the United States and you've got even one hair missing or something slightly out of place, or you look like you might have worked out too hard or whatever, if you go up and you ask a 30-year-old woman, which is actually a little younger than what I would say would be good, but you go ask a 30-year-old woman in the United States, they're going to look at you like you tried to assassinate their dog with an ice pick. If you go and you talk to them and you ask them, they're not going to have anything to do with you. If you go to the Philippines and you go into the mall and you start talking to a woman and you say, well, would you like to go get something to eat? If they like it, they will. If they don't like you, they won't. but they tend to be friendlier, a lot friendlier. So that's one difference you got. Another difference you got is they like being women. They like being feminine. They like dressing like women. They like doing female things. And they're fine with it, and they're good with it, and that's what they do. So, that's one of the differences it is. But number one, guys, don't think that when you get off that plane, the first time I came to the Philippines, I could have had a date right from the very start. I just gotten off the plane, and some of the guys who worked at the airport, NAIA, were standing there, and I was already planning on meeting somebody. We're standing there, and they asked me, said, "Do you have a girlfriend?" I said, "Well, I'm already planning on meeting somebody." And they went and introduced me to a young lady who worked at the airport over in the receiving line over there, where people were getting off and got their tickets, and they were telling them where to go and helping you get ready after you'd already been through customs. And they introduced me to her, and she said, "Yeah, if you don't have anything would like to take me to dinner, that's fine. I appreciate it, but I'm already committed." And this was like 8 years ago. And I don't look that much different now than I did then, except courtesy of my wife, who takes good care of me. I've lost a ton of weight. I don't have a double chin. I'm not near as fat as I was. I eat a lot better. I look a lot better. So, but, don't think that just because you just got off the phone, just because you got off the plane and you're there and there's all these women around, and there are quite a few of them go over with you. Not every one of them wants to date a white guy or an expat, however you want to work it. White guy, black guy, Hispanic guy. You have to look around and ask around. Some people will go out with you just for going out and eating lunch. So, you take that in hand. And there's a lot of women here that do like foreigners for whatever reason. And get this through your head, it's not just for your money, okay? It's not just for your money. Some of them are there just to get your money, but the majority of them aren't. The majority of them would like to have a stable relationship with somebody who will treat them with respect and appreciate them. And that's the story of a lot of women. And maybe one day we'll have some women come on and you can interview them. But don't just think you're God's gift to women just because you're here. Asian women are not as desperate as some of you people may think. Is the Philippines a poor country? Yeah. But it's poor maybe in some things, but it's not poor in humanity. It's not poor in taking care of people and showing people love and being respectable and showing them consideration. Not at all. Now, you folks have to understand that one of the reasons I'm here is I had to retire early because I have always had bad eyesight, and my eyesight has gotten really bad over the years. I retired, and I decided that I did not like the options I had in the United States. I worked all my life, but I don't have a big check. I never had a big check. I could only do what I could only do. I got what I could get, and then I decided I did not want to grow old in Section 8 housing. And go that way. Yeah, I had a check every month, and I still do. And I had a place to stay. Where I originally lived at in Corpus Christi was the first and only time I'd ever lived in Section 8 housing. It had absolutely nothing to do with the lady who ran the building, the lady who worked at the desk. I don't want to give you their names, but I'll tell you right now, I'll give you their first name, Wendy and Eunice. I had absolutely zero problems with them. They treated me good. They treated me right. Dwayne was the maintenance man. He took good care of the building, and Wally, they took good care of the building. If you had a problem, they would get it fixed as soon as possible. They always took good care of me. Of course, I always treated everybody with respect and treated them nice. But I had no desire to... The guy who lived in the apartment before me died on the couch. and he was getting evicted. They had to come in there to get him out, and they did a welfare check on him, finding he had died on the couch in the living room. Of course, they threw all his furniture and stuff out, but I had no desire to do that, and then I had no desire that after I got to where I couldn't get around, I'd get shipped off to a nursing home, and we all know how nursing homes are in the United States. You look at the veteran who laid in the bed in the nursing home where it was run, and they abused him and let him die. They didn't do anything for him. In the Philippines, the people have respect for the elderly. They don't just leave them there. Most people, when they get elderly here in the Philippines, their children help take care of them. So, you have a totally different perspective on people between the Philippines and the United States. In the United States, you can live in a neighborhood for 10 years, never know your neighbor's name, never meet your neighbor. The only people you know are maybe somebody from your family who doesn't even live near where you're at now. If you go to church, you'll have neighbors and friends from church. And then work, and that's really all I ever knew. And then when I got to where I couldn't work anymore and had to go ahead and stop work and take my disability, which I earned, I had somebody get upset because I took a meal. I had the money to go and have a meal at a good Mexican place. A good Mexican place in Corpus Christi. And as far as towns go, I love Corpus Christi. But it just got to where with all these problems with like the BLM and the whatever and the woke generation, which is the biggest joke I ever heard in my life. We're woke. Woke from what? You need to have somebody gouge you in the butt with an ice pick and maybe you will wake up. People like that. And then in the United States, you can't be yourself or do yourself. If you're a conservative and if you're a man and if you're whatever specific whatever or whatever race, you get discriminated against, you get treated bad. Well, in the Philippines, unless you do something stupid, you're not going to get treated bad. If you're disrespectful, if you come over here, if you badmouth the Philippines, and if you start talking about politics and stuff like that, and try to get involved, people aren't going to bother you unless you start doing stupid stuff. It's their country, stay out of it. Come here, you can live a quiet life, you can find good friends, you can find a good place to live, and you can have a quiet life here. In the United States, you're not going to have any kind of life. The taxes have gotten so bad, gasoline's going up to over $4 a gallon. The last time I saw it was at $4 a gallon was when, guess what, Obama was president. I got called a racist because I didn't like Obama. I don't like Obama, and it doesn't have anything to do with what color he is. It has the fact that he's a dead-gum commie. He's a Marxist socialist. I don't like him because of that. I don't care what color you are. As long as you're good people, you're fine with me. Because if I was a racist, I moved into the wrong country because this country is pretty much all Asian. Most people here are Filipinos. Duh, that's why they call it the Philippines. So, and I'm not going to sit here and try to twist your arm into moving here. I'm going to give you the positive aspects, some of the negative aspects, because they have those here too, and give you a reason why you should consider it. And I think you ought to, and I'm trying to get into the rhythm where I do 2 to 4 videos a week to give you something to tune in and listen to. I am also available to answer questions if you have them. And if you decide that you're going to move over here and you need help, we also do consulting. My wife, Mama Belle, who is the pretty lady that's in the picture beside me, was in real estate. Due to the COVID situation, she wasn't able to continue in it because it wasn't available. And there's certain things you need to know. Number one, you can own a condo. You can own a house here in the Philippines in your name. You can own businesses now 100% in your name. You cannot own property. Any property you have has to be at the very least under business regulations, 60% owned by Filipino, 40% owned by you or a foreigner, however you want to do it. But if you decided, and here's the thing, it's a lot cheaper to build a nice house here. It's a lot cheaper to build a nice house here if you've got something that you want to do and you want to retire. You can be where it's warm all year round, where it's nice. Now, we do have some things you have to watch out for, and you can't prevent them, but it's going to happen. Where we live in General Trias, which is in Cavite, which is south of Manila. Thank goodness. I'm not knocking Manila, but I don't like big cities. The biggest city I ever lived in, it's not like 330,000 people, is Corpus Christi. I don't know what the metropolitan area rates, but I know you've also got Port Aransas, you got Rockport, you got Aransas Pass, you got Kingsville. It's a pretty good sized area, but it's a good place to live. If I ever went back to the U.S., I'd live back there again because I know a lot of good people, but it's changed, unfortunately. The United States has changed, not in a good way. And there is, well, you can go ahead and say it any way you want to, Democrats running around who totally mess things up. And the government has gotten totally messed up the way they're using it. The term is weaponizing. So they're using weaponizing. The weaponizing is what the Nazis and the communists do. They use government institutions that they control to do their dirty work. So that's why I'm going to talk about the positive of the Philippines. Is it perfect? No. One thing you have to understand here is there are a lot of earthquakes. I've been through a couple of tremors since I've been here. I think it was, I can't remember exactly when, but I think it was right before the COVID garbage got started, which, it happened. It's been one of those things. Countries have been dealing with it. People have been dealing with it. Nobody in my family, thank the Lord, has had COVID. Excuse me. But you come and you look at this. Before that happened, we have a beautiful country, too. You're not going to find prettier country than you will in the Philippines. Right up in the next province over in Batangas, they have one of the world's wonders, which is called Lake Taal, which has an active volcano in it. And it went off and the steam went up, and we had a ton of ash rain out over the surrounding countryside. No fire came out, but we had a ton of ash got spewed up. And we had to have our air conditioning cleaned out, but that was one thing, and we're outside of the limit that they have of projected fall of volcanic matter other than ash. And where we're at is outside of that area. I think it's 12 miles. There's two other things you have to take. Well, you have to take in the fact that with earthquakes, you can also have tsunamis. We haven't had any of those. We haven't done anything like that. We have fault lines in Batangas. No fault lines in Cavite. Mama Bell, bless her heart, she is the number one geologist researcher around here to make sure that if we do get us our own place, which is what we're trying to do. That's one of the reasons we have the channel. We're trying to raise money to do that. Yeah, I know. Oh, you always judge me. Well, hey, let me tell you something. I was born with bad eyesight. I've been legally blind for ages. I've done the best jobs I could and got the best stuff I could and did the best I could. I never got rich, never even got close to being rich. But, you try it. You know what? You ought to try it yourself, because if you're going to sit here and badmouth me about that, You might as well just get off the channel. I'm not going to bring it up that often, but every once in a while I will. And we have a Patreon page if you would like to help us out, because we're putting money back to get ready, because we would like to live in a different part of the Philippines. Not that Cavite is a bad part. It's a very nice city. You know, one thing I've noticed about the Philippines compared to Corpus Christi and other places, we have good roads around here, in spite of the fact that we have earthquakes, in spite of the fact that we have typhoons. Yeah, typhoons. Hurricanes on steroids, you could call them. But the Filipinos keep the roads good. Build bridges. As a matter of fact, and I'm not going to try to get in politics here, but I will say this. President Duterte has started an infrastructure campaign. Since he's been here, they're building roadways. They're going to have a road. And here's where we're planning on going. We are trying to go to Mindanao, and we'll talk about that in another video. But they're building a highway that goes all the way from Cagayan de Oro in the north, Misamis Oriental, down to Davao City, which is the second largest city in the Philippines, the largest city on Mindanao. And I know some of you are going to sit there and go, oh, Mindanao, it's dangerous. No, Mindanao is not dangerous. You want dangerous? Move to Detroit. Move to Memphis, Tennessee. They sit here and they mouth off about, oh, this is one of the great places to live if you're going to be an expat, okay? They talk about the number one place that they rate for living as an expat in the United States is Mexico. Okay? Well, they left this part out. Mexico had over 1,800 abductions and kidnappings last year that I read. You know what I mean? They had in the Philippines 33. 1,800 plus to 33. And most of the 33 were because they have Chinese corporations here that run gambling operations, gaming as they call it in the United States. And 17 of those 33 were basically internal stuff about people into gambling. Chinese people that got kidnapped. You know, I mean, the Philippines used to be at the top. In the, you know, like Dumaguete was one of the top 10 places to retire to. Dumaguete is a nice city. I lived there for a while. Beautiful place. Good people. Nice people. You know, I could get out here at night and I can take a walk and nobody bothers me. I took a walk up to the little convenience store we've got up at the edge of the neighborhood right near the school and everything. They have a little, they call it an all-day convenience store. And it was dark and I was trying to walk and I tripped and slipped and fell down. And I was trying to get up and some guy I'd never even met before who didn't know me from Adam stopped and helped me to get up so I could get back. It was raining, it was muddy, it wasn't exactly an easy thing, but he stopped and he helped me. He didn't know me. I didn't know him. Oh yeah, it happens in Corpus Christi too, because I've been walking to and from work or places, and I'm not really the best walker as it is, and I've tripped and I've fallen. HEB at the parking lot one time trying to go to, I think it was the one on Santa Fe, if you know anything about Corpus Christi. And I tripped and I fell and I hit the asphalt. And I was trying to get up and this guy come up and said, sir, let me help you. And he gave me a hand up. So, you know, I'm not knocking Corpus Christi. It ain't perfect either. It's got its share of nuts. But I get tired of people knocking about the Philippines and they're talking about Mindanao is dangerous. No, Mindanao is not. Unless you get out and do stuff to make it dangerous for you. So anyway, just like I'm saying, if you come here to the Philippines and you're a single guy, yes, you can get dates. Yes, you can meet women. Yes, you can get treated like a human being. But don't think that you're God's gift to women. Be nice. Don't be running around. And here's one thing you better learn. you're going to walk around, make sure to look, see if the woman don't have one of those on, because I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of things you'll have to learn about living in the Philippines. But number one, don't be trying to date some guy's wife. There's plenty of single women out here who would like to, you could go and take them out to dinner and talk to them and meet them and get to know them. But don't be trying to mess around with some guy's wife. And always make sure that they are of legal age. Here's another thing I'm going to touch base on just right quick. Say this one thing. There's these idiots who get on here and put on, oh, in the Philippines you can date a 12-year-old girl. No, you can't. They will lock you up and throw away the key. Why do you want to date a 12-year-old girl anyway? What are you, sick? 12-year-old girls are not made to date. 12-year-old girls help their parents out. But they say, oh, you can date. No, you can't. Trust me. Trust me. If the Philippine government finds out that you're doing that, bless their hearts, they will put your butt in jail. And let me tell you something else, you little know-it-all Americans. Yeah, I get mad at Americans because I grew up around them. If you come over here to the Philippines and you date an underage girl like that, I hope that they turn you in back in the United States, because you can go to federal prison for it, dum-dum. Yeah, you sure can. The federal government in the United States will lock you up. Don't be coming over here messing with no kids. Period. Because not only will they lock you up in the Philippines, if you manage to live through that, they can also lock you up in the United States. Okay, that's pretty much all that. I probably got off subject. I always get off subject. But let me explain this to you. It's just some stuff that you need to know. You get on YouTube and you'll see a lot of people up here running their mouths about stuff that they don't know about it's dangerous, and you can do this and you can't do that. I'm like the Filipino P, who I really enjoy listening to, Philly in the Philippines. I enjoy listening to him. He's in Angeles City, planning on moving. I enjoy listening to Life Beyond the Sea, which is Rique, who has lived here. I've actually met him in person out of the three. I've actually met him, and there's Farmer Farming in the Philippines, who's on Bahal. I haven't met him. I'd like to get a chance to meet him, and different bloggers just say I've met him. The only one I've met is Rique. I met him in Dumaguete back in 2014. Nice guy, and I've really enjoyed listening to him over the years. He's a good guy. There are some people that get on here and just run their mouths. And let me tell you something. If you don't like the way things are done in the Philippines, there's 7,000 islands. We've got major airports all through here. Buy a rowboat and go out to sea somewhere. You can go. There's different countries around here. Maybe you like them better. But if you don't like it, you don't have to stay here. And don't stay here, because there's a lot of people who do. There's a lot of people who do like it here, and they're happy here, and they want to go ahead and stay here. And I can't say I blame them. And if you don't like it, leave. You don't have to be here. You want to find out what it's like and whether or not it'll fit for you, you're retired or you have the ability to, don't just jump up and plan on moving here. Maybe you won't like it for whatever reason. It's different. But it's not a bunch of people running around like headhunters. It's got modern conveniences. We've got, like I'm doing this off Wi-Fi in my house that I get from my direct connection on PDLT. The phone is a Vivo phone. My mama bought it for me. My wife, I call her my mama. She's my Mama Bell. Wouldn't trade her for a pound of gold. So I'm just doing this as I can till eventually I can afford to get a GoPro. Hey, we don't have tons of money. We're not humongously rich, but I'll tell you what, we do have a good life. I have good children, and I have my wife. We live in a good neighborhood. She's got good friends here. She's lived in Cavite most of her life after she got up and got old enough to. So, we won't get too far in that. But if you're going to sit here and badmouth the Philippines, you're not talking to a friendly, receptive audience here. I'm going to tell you, if you don't like it, you got up here, you moved here, you can leave. You don't have to stay here. Don't come here, don't badmouth the government, and don't badmouth the people. This is the way they do things. And to me, it's a good, peaceful way of life. It's a beautiful place to live. Beautiful, beautiful scenery. The one thing I don't like about the Philippines, Banacan. You know what a Banacan is? Philippine cobra. And it's one of the most dangerous snakes in the world. It ain't got nothing on a black mamba, but it ain't nothing you want to pick up and play with. I've never seen one. I've been out in the woods before. I've been out in the river before. Never seen anything like that. They just don't get up in this area. Well, they do, but I doubt they're going to get in this populated of an area around humans. So anyway, that's kind of what I had to rant about today, which, yeah, I get off on the same thing. And sometimes I get off and do a lot. So anyway, if you want to know more about it, there's Filipina P is an excellent source, and that's the name of her channel. She's in Dumaguete. It's an excellent source about relationships and about Philippine women and men. She interviews both on there, and they kind of tell you what they think, and she will give you what they think and how they feel and what they're looking for and what it's about. They're not getting paid to run a game. And she's good at getting people who don't run games. I've been listening to her for over a year. I've always enjoyed it. The one thing that I never got into doing this was because you always get trolls. So if you're going to troll, you will get kicked out. If you want to learn about the Philippines, now's a good time because they've just changed the law to where Filipinos can run, foreigners can own a business 100% theirself, and that's what I'm actually going to be talking about next and for the next few blogs. Doing business in the Philippines, having your own corporation in the Philippines or your own business, and things you can do, and things that you might be interested in doing. And like I said, my wife and I have a consultant business. She's going to get back into real estate. We're trying to save to get moved to Mindanao, to Bukidnon, Mindanao, and a city called Merrimack. You can actually check it out on the on Google. You can go to Google Maps and take a look at it. They've got a lot of cute-looking little restaurants that look like they would be interesting. They've got a ton of places that you can go swimming with in nice, pure water. Different little things that you can learn. And at one time, they said Mindanao was not to be, but it has changed a lot. They've made a lot of differences. They're building a train that will go the entire distance of Mindanao from Cagayan de Oro down to Zamboanga City. Now, I've heard Zamboanga is not a safe place to be, but I've heard Zamboanga City is. That's your call. I can't tell you. I can just tell you what I've read and what I know from being around here. Zamboanga is called the City of Flowers. Dumaguete is called the City of Gentle People, and that's a good name for it because they've got really nice people. They've got Stillman University, which is, I think it was the first American college founded over here. And I'm learning a lot about Philippine history and stuff, so, tune in. So next time, and I'm going to try not to be so long in between post and update this time, I'm going to be talking about the new federal act, or the new Republic Act, that allows foreigners to completely own their own businesses without having any kind of partner. You used to have to be, if you owned a corporation or a business here in the Philippines, it had to be 60% Filipino, 40% foreigner owned. That was the split. It couldn't be any less than that. So now you have the option to start your own business, run it your way, be in charge of it, and do it the way you want to. And if you do get a business over here, I wish you the best of luck and best of success. But you got to learn what kind of stuff to get into. We'll talk more about that. I'm here. If you have a business that you want to find out more about, we do consulting. You can send me a payment on Patreon, or I'll send you my wife's PayPal address. You can send it to her. And I dig in, folks. I dig in. I'll find out everything that I can, because let me tell you, I don't want to just sit here and have you think, I paid $30 for that. No. We want to make sure, I believe that if you come to the Philippines, you have people that are some of the hardest working people in the world. It's basically an honest society, and people that are interested, they'll do a good job. Here's another thing. Here's one thing that we're going to talk about, and this is something I'll be talking about in future blogs. You cannot own property in the Philippines. You can own the building, but you cannot own the land. The land can only be owned 100% by a Filipino citizen. And before you get to mouthing off about it, it's not right, it's not fair. Yeah, it is. It's their country. If you don't like it, tough. Get your own country. Go invade an island, take over it, enslave the population like these other people have been doing. Filipinos you can't enslave. The Japanese tried it, and they found out something in World War II. It ain't going to work. I know the Filipinos don't have a problem with Japanese. My uncle did. He fought in the Pacific side of the war during World War II, and he died in 2002. Excuse me. And he did not like the Japanese all the way up to the day he died, but that was just the way it was. But the Filipinos are not sitting here holding grudges. If they were going to hold grudges against somebody, they'd still hold a grudge against the Spanish, and they'd probably hold a grudge against the United States because of the way it was when we got the islands in 1898. But we can talk about that at a different time. Thank you for tuning in. I didn't mean to bore you to death. I hope I didn't. I try to keep things interesting. If you have a question, you can go and send me a question on my webpage there at wordpress.retireintherp.com, wordpress.com/retireintherp. You can catch me on YouTube at Retire in the RP. My wife is going to be starting to show some of her cakes because she is an excellent baker. And we have another channel that we're starting up, which is going to be more family-oriented about what the family does. And that is called Irwin Family in Philippines. And that's also on YouTube. So I'm going to put all this stuff down. I hope you enjoyed the blog. Thank you for taking the time to tune in. Like I said, I'm not Rush Limbaugh. I can't sit there and drone on and drone on and drone on for whatever. So sometimes I kind of skip around. Subscribe and like at Retire in the RP at YouTube, and also on my WordPress page. Also on Facebook too. So we've got presence there. I'm going to eventually add Instagram and something else. Feel free to ask. If it's clean, you're fine. If you try to troll me, I'll kick you out and block you, because I don't have time for that. I don't sit here and go off on people about stuff. I would like to start interviewing Filipinos on the channel. If you have an interest in being interviewed, send me a message. Because that's what my working days on regular manual labor are pretty much over. So I do what I can. I'm good with people. I worked in escalations. Somebody said, yeah, you got to wear. I said, well, I worked in escalations. I got hollered and cussed at all the time. But hey, that's escalations. Here, be nice, be appropriate. No foul language, no dirty stuff. I'm not here to pick up women left and right. Hey, look. See that right there? I am married. I'm happy to be married. I got married because I wanted to. I got married because I have a good wife. I got married because I have a woman who is dedicated to me, dedicated to our family, and dedicated to doing what she can. And she's dedicated to her friends too. Excuse me. she helps them. One of the reasons we want to move to Bukidnon, her father lives in Zamboanga. We want to move him to Merrimack with us in Bukidnon. She's got family there. And we want to be able to be around our family, her family, our family. And I would love to be able to spend some time with her father, Mr. Murata. I call him Papa. I won't call him by his first name, and I won't disrespect him. Won't let anybody else disrespect him. I talked to him. His birthday was yesterday. We want to be able to come and spend time with her, with him. She's got some brothers and sisters that live down in that area. Merrimack is in between Valencia, and if you go a little further south, you got Cotabato, and that is supposed to be one of the safest cities. It's a beautiful place. I'd like to go visit it. Just want to be able to go down there and get plenty of good vegetables and eat and have a place that is comfortable. So again, I'm going to shut it off this time because it takes me forever to say goodbye. Ha ha ha. Sue me, whatever. We'll talk more about a lot of things as we go. So I'm going to go ahead and end this for now. Thank you for tuning in. David here at Retire in the RP. I want to get a shout out to a couple other guys who have been listening to me. We're having a conversation. Maybe one day they want to come on and we can do a thing. I'm also going to start rap sessions where I just turn on and let people come in and we talk about stuff. Because that's what I like to do. I like to be able to talk and have you enjoy it, and I enjoy being able to talk to you. I get a little excited sometimes. I'm passionate about the Philippines. It's been a wonderful place to me. Thanks for tuning in. God bless y'all. Have a great evening. Stay safe. Stay COVID-free. Support the Ukrainians because they're standing up against the Russians as they should. So remember them in your thoughts and prayers. Y'all take good care of yourself. Bye.